Okay, I gotta pump myself up. I'm just so tired.
We need it.
What's it called?
What's that person who pumps you up? Like a hype man?
Oh, I thought you were thinking. You know what I was thinking?
No. Like the Chippendales?
No. What are they called? Thomas Fluffers?
Oh, that's not what I meant.
Safe work conditions.
I meant like the comedian who comes out before the Daily Show. Like, gets everybody laughing. Hi, this is Caitlin.
And this is Sharon.
And welcome to Real Housewives on Real Housewives, where we unravel housewives' story threads and keep the tea flowing.
So chic.
Hold on to your snowflakes.
This is episode 11, and we're talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's season 3's Whitney Rose.
And our versus this week is just one. It's Whitney versus Heather. So this is kind of a continuation, a little bit of our Heather episode. And we really like Whitney. But when I've kind of done like some of the polls on our social media and stuff, Whitney does not get a lot of votes. So I'm thinking Whitney's not super popular in the Housewives world. And I'm not totally sure why. I really like her.
Okay, I used to think she was annoying, and this is the first season I liked her.
Yeah, so maybe she's coming into her own more.
Maybe.
Or maybe Heather is so difficult.
Unlikable
that like Whitney will jump off a little bit. And she was with Lisa, and people love Lisa. So maybe that, like, if you're in with the cool crowd,
yeah,
it takes you in.
Well, I just kind of feel like I understood Whitney more this season.
That's true. I could see that. So I was thinking, since we did Real Housewives of Beverly Hills last, that we should give a shout out to Lisa Vanderpump, because she left Housewives and everyone's like, oh, that's too bad for her. But now Vanderpump Rules, her show, is like blowing up. It's been all over social media. Like the New York Times had to explain it, and it was like this awful headline, like you'd say to old people, like, what's a Vanderpump? Like it was like this whole explanation. Like, and we've never watched it, but I've actually kind of launched in, and I've made it as far as season 2. So because the Bravoverse like sucked me in. So that's where I've been this week, is ignoring everybody. Watching Vanderpump Rules.
I guess I have to start watching.
You have to start. All right, so Whitney Rose comes from a Mormon background. She left the church officially. I mean, she kind of cut ties when she met her current husband, but she officially left this season. And my favorite is the website. She goes to quitmormon.com. It's like, this is such a legit thing.
Yeah.
You have to go get legal aid to leave. I mean, that's a little terrifying.
It is.
Like, there's just something
really
about that. Like,
it's like usually just like walk away.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
See you guys.
It's like, I just didn't think it was that big of a deal, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no offense to the religion or anything, but that's just an intense process to leave. So she met her current husband, Justin, when he was her boss. And then they had an affair. They both left their spouses and married each other. They have 2 kids. And Whitney owns Wild Rose Beauty, which we've seen a little bit of on the show. And recently I noticed on Instagram that she's co-owning Prism. It's an intentional jewelry and like lifestyle.
Intentional.
Oh, intentional. Is that, what did I say? International?
No, you said intentional.
Oh, I did.
I'm just highlighting that this isn't just any jewelry.
It didn't just fall off a truck.
Someone intentionally made this jewelry.
Most of my pieces were just like, I found them on the side of it. Yeah, that's an odd word now that you say it. I think because she's been so into crystals and stuff, the website said, when you heal yourself, you heal the world. Which is kind of beautiful. But I looked through it, and there is a really cool like sun ray necklace. It's kind of like half of the sun and then like half of that on earrings. Very pretty. So maybe that'll take off for her.
Cool.
I worry because a lot of people do jewelry lines, and I'm not sure.
Meredith?
Yeah. Also, that may not endear her to Meredith.
Yeah.
Okay, so Whitney versus Heather, or the end of bad weather, which is what they called their former friendship. I guess now it's good weather if bad weather broke. The sun's out, the party's over.
I guess it really is bad weather.
So I wanted to figure out how they were actually related, because they're not like first cousins. So Heather's great-grandmother and Whitney's great-grandfather were siblings. So they're third cousins. That cousin thing confuses me
the first,
so
second,
much.
third,
Yeah. Okay, so they used to be called bad weather. They were close. They spoke on the phone all the time. I guess we should give a little background of like the fight the initial fight, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think the first like signs of trouble in paradise, right, were when they went on the trip to Arizona.
Yes.
And so I guess the big thing that happened, so first they start out, they kind of have this like healing party, which we will talk about eventually with our like Lisa episode, I think. Mm-hmm. But they're sitting around the table and Whitney kind of says like, it's not even Whitney, but somebody asks her, like, is something going on? Is there something mm-hmm. more? And so Whitney kind of brings up that she's recently discovered that she has a history of abuse. Like, she didn't remember what happened to her for a very large chunk mm-hmm. of her childhood. And her step siblings have kind of helped fill in the gaps. And she's like seeing some people to fill in the gaps. And what bothers me so much about this conversation, and it was like my first inkling of like Heather maybe mm-hmm. out for me liking her, is that Heather really like almost rolls her eyes. Like, she's mm-hmm. so dismissive. And it's like, I don't care ultimately what you think about it. But if somebody comes to you and says like, mm-hmm. I had this abuse in my past, mm-hmm. like, that's a moment for compassion and empathy and listening. And I don't care how you feel about it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And to put it in context, if everyone remembers, that trip was supposed to be a fun trip for Jen to get away from all her stress.
Every trip?
Which, yes, exactly. It's like,
yeah. How many trips does she get?
And, it's almost as though Heather acted like, well, that means no one else matters.
Yes. I completely agree. That's what she made it sound like.
Yeah, and when
she's ride or die for Jen, not Whitney.
Yeah, and that response to the abuse, because I remember Heather said "you" or something like that, and then they cut the episode, and I was just thinking, oh man, I hope that was just one of those cuts where they kind of throw you off.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. She really was.
Yeah.
Not responding in a normal, compassionate way.
No, and even later in the interviews, and they're talking heads, it's like Heather said something like, I was completely thrown off, and it's like I could see that. I could see mm-hmm. being like, dude, I'm in your family and I didn't know this happened, or I knew the person and I didn't mm-hmm. like, whoa. But then you think by the time she got to the talking head, she would be like, I have processed some of this and I can't believe I acted so coldly. Or even in the talking head, she's kind of like, it's like she was reading a script kind of almost. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm so sorry. This is very upsetting. And it's like, you would expect someone maybe who's just also your cousin would be a lot more upset.
Yeah.
It's weird. I find that really, really weird.
I think the other ladies seem compassionate.
So much more. And I think that's what highlighted it, because it's like,
she's her best friend in the group,
Yeah. They're supposed to be super close. And then she says nothing about it. Like, it's very, very odd to me. And then later that same night, they're going to have the dinner, and everyone's getting really drunk, and it's that awful lingerie party that was Jen's theme idea.
Yeah.
It's like the juxtaposition of that. It's like, we're going to get into this serious fight where everybody's mad at each other, and then everyone's dressed like, it's awful. It's so distracting. Because they have that lady there, and they're doing like the booty dance and the awful. It's just the whole
Crystal,
thing.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Probably.
No, sounds good. Sounds intentional.
And so like Heather flips out because they had a little talk before, and Heather did tell Whitney not to say rumors that she's hearing about Lisa. And we're going to save like the in-depth of this for our Lisa discussion. But essentially, rumors come out that maybe Lisa traded favors for Jazz basketball.
Okay.
So that's embarrassing. I know my sports.
They say like when you can explain it, you understand it. Yes. I thought I understood it, but then I'm like, there were the favors, then there were the tickets, but I thought it's also to get the Vita.
Right,
sold?
But I guess then she was like, also like, could you throw in some
so it's for both of those things.
Yeah, I mean, she used to be really good. You're right, because they said it was for Vita. They also said it was for Jazz tickets. I mean, I guess the point was they were using somebody's seats, and it was like, well, how did he let them use the seats? Oh, we must be like doing things with Lisa. So again, the whole thing is weird. But earlier on, Whitney kind of alludes to that with Heather when they're talking, and Heather's essentially like, don't ruin the evening. Don't say anything. Yeah. So I think also when it comes up at the table, but Whitney's out and they're like making the burgers, and Whitney's like, you can tell Heather she can't hold it in. Heather was laughing
a little when she and Whitney were talking at that moment. She was like gossipy. Into the gossip. It's not like she was like, oh my gosh, just drop this right now.
I can't believe you bring that up. Yeah. At some point, she's not really friends with Lisa right now. So yeah. But you can tell that like Whitney Whitney's just the worst when she has information.
She doesn't
know what to do with it. She can't keep it in. She can't control its output.
I know.
And then if you give her a drink, it's like,
yeah.
So she, like, you can tell she's going to tell. And Heather's like, don't tell. And you can just tell it's like, she's like, I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
So she just sort of blurts it out. And I think she made it worse because later when they discussed it at the reunion, she says it less gossipy and less bad. It sort of sounds like, well, something was traded for the tickets. But at the time, it's like she makes it much more worse sounding than like it needed to be. And so the problem is that then Whitney says to Heather, like, you knew, you were at the game. It was she, Angie Harrington, and Whitney at the game. Mm-hmm. And Heather's like, no, I was like 2 rows back or something. And so it's kind of confusing. There's a possibility that Angie said it and Heather didn't hear it. But here's my problem. I feel like this is the whole explosion. I went back and looked. She says you're lying to Heather. She doesn't call her a liar. Mm-hmm. So here's what I don't understand. She lets Jen say all this stuff to her throughout the season. Mm-hmm. And it's like, whatever, we'll ride or die. I'll forgive you. Whitney once says you're lying. She's super drunk. They had been gossiping about Lisa.
Yeah, together. Yeah.
Together. And this blows up their whole friendship.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
She was already annoyed with Whitney.
There was something underlying.
Yeah. It's like, there's something she doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah. Because like you were saying, like we both kind of had a theory about maybe Heather being a little bit like more thrown off by the abuse allegations. Yeah.
Perhaps like, I don't know, maybe in her family that was something that was never spoken about her. So it just, when Whitney brought it up, it completely maybe gave her anxiety.
Yeah,
and
sure. She
just
didn't
put her
know
on the defensive,
and
she's thinking about the fact that this is her family too,
somebody she knows.
Yeah, so I think it might have brought up a lot of different layers of religion and family and society for her.
Like, I can see why she explodes possibly in that moment. Yeah. What I don't understand is why she digs her heels in and then stays mad the whole season.
I think she thinks she's at the point where she can do that. Yeah. Like, I think she thinks she has built her star level up to the point that she's like, now I can like tell you guys, find another Heather Gay because like I'm the best one on the show and I'm in charge. Or
she's gotten like too big for her head or something.
Like, she gets to call the shots now.
Well, but we have a piece of the famous moment. Because remember, Heather wakes up the next day in the bed. She's got like candy all around her.
Which I love.
For a minute, we were like, okay, wait, Heather's coming back into her good graces.
I'm like, oh, Heather, candy, love it.
But then Sharon texts me and she's like, look, go back, rewind.
Yeah, I said, oh my God, look. And I was flipping out and I said, she has my carpet, or that's my carpet. So they're staying in that like lame kind of hotel. It's not lame, but they're making fun of it. Saying like the 90s threw up or did I say that? I don't know.
Yeah. Somebody said.
So there is this rug in Heather's room and it's like this red, I don't even know, it's got like this border pattern.
Like
and I have that rug and it was in our old office and then I was going to sell it, but I totally forgot to respond to the people on Craigslist that asked me about it. And then Caitlin was like,
I was like, I need a rug because ours got torn up when our dogs were little and I could use it.
So she was like, oh, well, can I have that rug? Yeah. And so now it's in Caitlin's family room.
Sharon's like, it's our rug. Our rug is on TV. Sharon Rug is famous. So that's our brush for celebrities of the week. What I also thought was interesting is that Whitney then says, like, Meredith actually put me in the middle because Meredith, and we'll talk about this more with Meredith, but she was also kind of spreading the Lisa rumors. So again, Whitney did get kind of thrown in the middle. Then she kind of threw Heather in the middle. But again, I just feel like it's also missing almost that I don't understand why anyone is so mad for the whole season for Heather to be like, you lost me, and she's going to rip up the note that Whitney left in her room and that Heather wasn't there for her when she needed her. And I don't know. She's a very fair weather friend. She's coming off as it anyway. Fair weather. So, because then Whitney kind of tries to repair it. Like, she goes to Heather's amazing choir audition.
Yes.
Which is a train wreck. But she goes, and she goes like in the costume with Angie H, and they're like, I mean, she's like embarrassing herself for Heather.
Yeah, and she said like she has a lot of trauma surrounding the church, so for her to go and sing church hymns is a big deal for her. Like, it's not something she wants to do, and she's doing it just because it's Heather.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like she's really trying to repair.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just feel like, again, Whitney's kind of trying to say, I want to fix this with you, or this was the problem. And Heather's just not listening. Like, she's not noticing. She's not paying any attention to what's going on.
Well, maybe now that, Whitney is not being a doormat.
Right.
Heather's not getting what she wants out of the relationship anymore. She's actually having to give
that may be true.
Her friendship half.
Yeah.
Instead of just like Whitney listening to her all the time.
Yeah.
And so now she's not enjoying it as much.
Because I think what's interesting is like, remember when Whitney goes to Heather's house and like, I feel like it's like a Hail Mary pass for like the last ditch effort.
That's when she's wearing the really ugly boots, right?
I think so.
They're sitting outside by the
No, this is when Whitney goes to Heather's house.
Oh, okay.
And Heather ends up slamming the door on her. She like has to let herself out, which is so awkward. But it's like, Heather says like, how did we get here? Because the Whitney I remember and I love would just sit here and help me process everything I'm feeling. And she wouldn't school me on Lisa's right to tweet. But again, it's like, the Whitney I know would help me.
Yeah.
The Whitney I know would be there for me.
Sit here
quietly and shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, I think there is a problem for Heather with the fact that Whitney's using her voice.
Yeah. And it's not even like Heather, I mean, all Whitney was doing was saying, hey, Heather, maybe think of it this way. You know, she wasn't even telling Heather,
she wasn't telling
you're wrong.
About Heather
she was just like, hey, just kind of think about maybe, you know, reframe it like this, you know, trying to help her see the situation.
And like, it's a rumor about Lisa, and Lisa forgives Whitney.
Yeah.
But Heather can't, and it's not even a rumor about Heather. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So, I mean, one of my questions I wrote was like, whose side are you on?
Whitney.
Obviously. I don't think there's another side.
I mean, the funny thing is, if you look at the facts with the initial fight, with the whole jazz game, maybe I might have been on Heather's side, but the way she handled it just really,
I mean, Heather has like this ability to just dig her heels in and refuse to listen and refuse to understand.
Yes.
And like the other big moment is at the Marilyn Monroe dinner.
Oh God.
Which is like, I think we talked about last week, but the horrible George Washington wigs where everybody looks like, ugh. But in that moment, it's just really awkward too, because Jen is trying to take the heat off of her. And she's like, Whitney, you need to tell Heather how you feel.
Yeah. She says, so when they're sitting there, Heather has not yet. So this is when they're in, this is the night that the black eye happens.
Yes.
And so they go out to this Marilyn Monroe dinner, and then they're I think they get one drink at that dinner maybe.
Mm-hmm. But Jen's like, tell Heather how you feel. Oh, and it's so awkward.
Yes, because Heather is unaware that Whitney had said this thing about a friendship break, which really was not the way she makes it sound. Whitney had said, when she was speaking to Jen and the others in the hot tub, when she said this, she said, you know, I may need to take a friendship break. I mean, to kind of step back.
And it was like
it wasn't like an official, I am going to file this paperwork for a friendship break, and she's going to be served these friendship break papers. Like,
it's very Ross and Rachel too, now that I think about it, because it's kind of like, it's like Whitney knew they were on a break.
Yeah.
And Heather didn't know they were on a break.
So Jen kind of makes this situation come up.
Yeah.
And then
Whitney's not prepared.
Whitney's
not
prepared,
we all know Whitney off the cuff.
Not good.
It's not good. Like, she needed to have something written down. And so it's like, and then Whitney won't listen. Because then, I mean, Heather obviously won't listen. Because Whitney says multiple times, like, can you listen? Like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then Heather's just like, Whitney's Alice in Wonderland. And it's like, you're just dismissing everything she says.
She is. She's extremely dismissive.
And she's like, loyalty's a deal breaker. It's like, what do you mean? How was she disloyal to you? She called you a liar. And she didn't even call you a liar. She said you're lying.
Yeah.
My kids say that to each other every other hour. It's like, come on. And so then it's like, essentially Whitney says, like, I've talked to you about this. I've tried to talk to you about it. You feel like you don't want to repair it. So I need to set a boundary. And I just don't think the word break is that upsetting, I guess. And then Whitney's like, I don't have to yell and scream to be heard.
Yeah.
And I agree with that because she's ruining the charcuterie dinner.
Well, and I don't like charcuterie.
Well, is this why?
Yeah. Because stuff like this happens when you eat charcuterie. Because everyone's angry. And that's why it all goes wrong.
Okay.
That's really the real reason they're doing charcuterie now.
That's true.
They're like, oh, they're all hungry.
It's like if we deprive them of actual like protein and carbs.
Yeah. Just give them a little bit of a few grapes.
Exactly. It's not about your chest broken. It's just about the fact that you're hungry.
Yeah.
So it's like, also, do you think the semantics of it matter? Like, do you think it matters that Whitney said, like, you're lying versus you're a liar? Because I do. But I don't know if other people would take it that way.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I actually don't think it matters because I think this isn't the example she should have pulled.
Yeah.
This is a long going thing in their friendship and she's just grabbing onto this one example because it's right there.
Yeah.
Whereas really these are issues she's had with Heather for a long time. So I don't think it matters particularly to Heather. I don't think it would have mattered either. I think she would have taken both as like we're no longer find yourself another.
And the other thing I think she's mad about, but she doesn't really say, is I think she's mad that Whitney's good friends with Lisa. Like Whitney forgave Lisa and Heather and Lisa are still fighting over the whole issue with the obituary and stuff, which again, I don't know. Heather just seems to get involved in these ride or die fights that I don't think are ride or die.
But Heather doesn't have the right because Jen is upset with Heather for being friends with Angie H.
That's true.
So how can Heather, she's in this situation. I don't want to pick. So how can she do that?
But she's asking Whitney to pick. That's a really good point.
And what Angie H and Jen, that was like way more toxic than Lisa and Whitney.
Completely. Do you think that Whitney officially leaving the church caused an issue with Heather? I almost thought at the beginning that she was stealing her thunder a little bit. Because the fact that Whitney filmed that scene where she's like, look, I'm signing my Mormonism away. And then Heather's like, dude, I got a big book coming out about this. Like, but then it's like, that's obviously not going to last as long as the book.
Right.
But I kind of wonder if Heather was like, that's my storyline this season.
Yeah, but it is so much Heather's storyline throughout this whole show.
Yeah.
Huh.
So then it was like, did Whitney just like steal her thunder?
Maybe.
Her Mormon thunder.
Or maybe she's jealous that she couldn't do the whole quit Mormon thing.
Because she was like,
she got to that point, and then she's like, I can't do this last thing.
Yeah, I don't want to disappoint my parents and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe like she has a freedom that Heather doesn't think she has. I can't keep their names straight today.
maybe Whitney's more at peace with it and Heather's just jealous.
That could be.
Well, we know. I'm guessing Heather's not at peace because she wrote a whole book about it.
That's true.
I haven't finished. I haven't read the book.
Still processing.
But I got the feeling that maybe there's still some.
Yeah, I get the stuff vibe that there's some problems. Here, I want to go back and pull it up. But what I thought also was really interesting is I was reading that Screed Grant article, and Heather's sister weighed in on this whole drama. And so she said it was her sister Nancy, and she kind of alleged, according to Screen Rant, that she was used for like a storyline. Was it last season? And that they hadn't spoken since. So Heather met with her sister and kind of reconciled.
Yeah, I actually kind of remember this scene because weren't they traveling somewhere where her sister lived near there, I believe?
I think, were they skiing? Because I felt like they were outside like a chalet.
And she said like, oh, I can go see my sister who I haven't seen in so many years. And I guess
brought Whitney, didn't she, to that maybe?
Oh, did she?
I don't know. I can't remember for sure.
But yeah.
But so Nancy, so it said...
Nancy's her sister.
Nancy's her sister. So it said, so like in this Instagram comment that was shared by No Filter with Zach via the Pink Pop Box, I'm just giving all the credit. But Nancy revealed her true thoughts about her sister. So she said, I mean, and this is kind of in a reference to, but she was saying it to Whitney. She said, stop waiting for Heather until she has a use for you. She has no use for you. She went on to say, believe me, I know. I waited 20 plus years for her only to be used for a storyline in Vail. And she hasn't spoken to me since the day we filmed. And then she said, I consider it to be the last conversation we will ever have. It was nice to meet you in Vail. So she did meet Whitney.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry that you saw the real Heather.
That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
Because she had had that sister left the church too, I think?
I think so. Or at least maybe not officially, but I think there was some separation.
Yeah,
that's just not a great look.
I wish they would have asked her about that. I don't know when this came out, but I kind of wish I'd asked her about it at the reunion.
Because I know that family members will sometimes say awful things about other family members. But I don't imagine she'd lie about the fact that she hasn't spoke with her since.
Right, exactly.
Has she really not reached out? Because that is a little suspicious.
That is. And yeah, I don't think her sister was going on there for the fame.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I really want to know, did she try to reach out to Heather? Has Heather just think she's too busy? So I guess in that case, if Heather thinks she's too busy, then she did just use her for that storyline.
Right, I would agree with that.
She wasn't actually looking to rekindle a relationship.
And I guess the big question that keeps going around in my head is why is Heather constantly defending Jen and her lies? And then she holds Whitney to a different standard. And like you said, maybe Jen's her party friend and Whitney's her more legit deep friend. But I feel like it's really unfair to just say Whitney's just there for when I need an ear. But I'm not going to be there when she needs one.
I guess she can't. If she treated Jen the way she was treating Whitney, Jen would scream and yell at her.
Yeah, I guess so.
And maybe might dump her.
Yeah.
So where
Whitney
she
gets
can
in
treat
trouble
Whitney
just
like
for
that because Whitney will
quiet.
take it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
No, I agree.
It's like Jen dumps on Heather.
It's like a chart, like a nice diagram where it goes down. What was interesting is like at the reunion, they asked like the regrets of the season, and Heather was like, I would go to bed immediately after the Maryland night. And then Whitney was like, well, I would wait till I was sober to have the conversation about the rumors, which is correct. But then she says, like, I was hoping Heather would have said her one regret was not mending our friendship.
I thought as soon as Heather said that, and I thought that was just a really
slap in the face,
important moment. Yeah. And I was like, and Heather didn't chime in either. No. Like, you know what?
Even when Whitney
that's
said
another
that,
regret.
Like, well,
or like,
I agree, but
you know, the fact that she didn't say anything.
Yeah.
It was just mean. Like you were good friends with her,
and their family is, I mean, adjacent. But so, like, do you think there's any hope for them based on what we saw in the reunion?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, which makes me sad.
Yeah, because Heather, especially because of the abuse thing. Yeah, that was so poorly handled by Heather.
I think so.
Maybe if that hadn't been there, maybe they could have come back from some stuff. But once that was like the biggest thing Whitney had to tell.
And I feel like it made me mad because I feel like Heather spends the whole season going like, you wronged me, you wronged me, you were wrong. Mm-hmm. Where it's like the unforgivable thing is what you just described. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you could bring that to somebody and have them just go, you?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
You're serious?
It isn't about you.
Like, who cares? I mean, just be there for the person. Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, she's like a mom. If your kid said something like that, you wouldn't go, sure. Like, you would just be there and then unravel the situation.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Yeah. You know the other reason Heather's probably mad at Whitney? She knocked down her sandcastle in the competition.
Sorry. I actually think that was kind of not cool.
I would have been really mad. That's not cool in my world. We go to the beach together. Do not kick my sandcastles down.
Caitlin knows about sandcastles. She knows people that build them.
Yeah, my sister-in-law is a sandcastle champion. Okay, the other moment, like, and I don't know how to, I was like trying to find a segue for this, but I can't. Can we talk about what Heather says when she offers to visit Jen in jail?
This is the best. Oh
I feel like we can go out.
Yes. Oh, we so like the quote. You have the quote.
I don't know if I have the quote exactly, but she was like, well, she was drunk. And she was like, I would totally visit Jen in jail. Like, I'm totally willing to have a conjugal visit. And it's like the rest of the table just stops. And then they're like, no, sweetie, like that's like a sexy visit. That's like a regular visit. That's just, you just visit someone. Like,
you're just going to go visit her.
I just love that. It was such like a Whitney moment. Just kind of proved that sometimes Whitney can just be really sweet. And like, she just doesn't know everything. And I think that's the reason I'm mad at Heather too. Like, I don't feel like Whitney has a bad intent. Like,
I agree.
She maybe shouldn't say what she says when she's drinking.
Gossipy sometimes, but
yes,
they all are.
Who doesn't?
They
and that's
all
the point
are.
of the show.
Exactly.
Like behind the scenes, the
and Heather loves the gossip too.
So absolutely, she's totally there for the tea.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had also our best Housewives moment of the week is that on our Instagram, I had posted that little thing. And you should check us out because both our Twitter and Instagram are RH_on_RH. But we posted a thing about Dana, and Dana commented on it directly with like kissy, like lovey faces, and that was like the coolest
Dana
thing.
Gave us kissy emojis.
And we love Dana because she has great hair no matter what Jen says.
I love Dana's sparkly gray hair.
I love her. I'm excited. Like, I think she's going to hopefully be a housewife. I don't know if they were official, but yes, we're pulling for her. Yeah. We also have a poll up online, both on Twitter and Instagram. We're trying to figure out what we want to do after Salt Lake City. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of talking about Potomac or Miami or Ultimate Girls Trip. Yeah. Or I actually threw out OC today too, like to go back a season. But anyway, let us know your thoughts because we just kind of would like some people to weigh in on that because we're having trouble deciding. Because
we like them. We're just so excited about doing all of them that one day we're like, we'll watch this. We'll like, okay, well, we only have 24 hours in a day. And we have kids.
Yeah. And they can't watch it, I guess.
I know. We can't watch it with them around, so it makes it harder.
I know. When they were babies, maybe, but now. All right. Well, we will see you next week, and maybe we'll have an answer on what you guys want us to do after Salt Lake.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe. And if you'd like to help support us, please share this podcast with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and a review. Thanks again, and remember to stay out of the shade.